evening, everyone. Welcome to Inside Artesian Basketball here on WREP 15 Sports. I'm your host, Eric Meyer, joined by Lady Artesian head coach Jessi Johnson. The girls continue to play well. They are continuing to be on a roll here as we start off the first part of the season. We'll talk with the coach about the girls' last two wins, Bloomington North and Chatard, and we'll talk about a big matchup coming up Tuesday night as Martinsville battles their county rivals and also mid-state conference foe in the Mooresville Pioneers. Coach, though, let's first go back to the Bloomington North contest. We previewed it last week here on Inside Artesian Basketball, and we knew North wasn't going to be the strongest team that you faced, but they did present some problems for your ball club, but it was another victory for your team as well.
Bloomington North came out and they played hard just like we expected. They have pretty much a go-to player that I thought we defended pretty well for most of the game. And so, they weren't somebody who just laid down and kind of let us have that win. It was a good battle.
We talked about it a little bit off camera, the fact that you were probably going to go to a little bit of box and one as well, and that they would have difficulty maybe adjusting to it. Most teams don't prepare for it. When I read the article in the Herald Times about the contest, that's exactly what their coach basically said, that they were going to have some problems, had some problems adjusting to what you guys threw at them early on.
Yes, we threw a box and one at them, and then we kind of went back and forth with a matchup zone to kind of, just make their players uncomfortable. And I thought that we really executed that, especially in the first half of the game. A
little bit of gamesmanship. We talked about that as well. The chess match between the coaches. I think even the quote was in the paper that then they called timeout, tried to adjust. Obviously, then you guys went to something else as well and continued to give them some problems just trying to get in their offensive flow.
Yes, and that's the whole point of a box and one, is to kind of take that go-to player out of the possession and out of the game ultimately. And we had, Bethany Mackin guarding, that kind of one key player, or the star as we referred to her. And she just did an absolutely great job of, kind of taking her out of her element.
Bethany played well defensively, but the rest of your team also continued their strong play on the defensive side.
Exactly. I think we gave up 7 points at halftime, which again continues on that path of, our defensive intensity and our defensive kind of minded, just our defensive minded,
mindset.
Yes,
or whatever
at the time,
yeah.
Exactly. What we are trying to do at this point in the season, and so we are very proud of just kind of our defensive effort that game.
Offensively as well, scored enough points to be able to win. Obviously, you always want to score more points, but who played well for you offensively in the contest against Bloomington North?
It feels like it's so long ago now, but I want to say that Jessi Johnson had just some easy layups that I remember her getting, and a lot of that was due to just her effort on defense, getting her some quick and easy steals, and so she was somebody who, just off the top of my head, really brought, I think she had 10 points that game, so contributed consistently throughout that game.
Able to get the victory over Bloomington North. You come back then on the Saturday against Chatard. You knew you were going to face a tough player in Bloomington North. You knew you would face a very, very good player in Chatard when they came to town on Saturday. This is a game you guys got out to a really good start against Chatard on Saturday afternoon.
And I mean, a good start, that's exactly how I put it to the girls also, and that's our goal every game, is to come out with energy and to set the tone early. And that starting five that we have right now is really executing that very well.
Executed well. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the highlights of the victory over Chatard, and you're going to see offensively Jessi Johnson right out of the bat gets that pull-up jumper.
Yes, Jessi has, a great little mid-range game that she's developed, as well as getting to the basket. I think with her size, she understands, when she needs to pull up.
Did a nice job sharing the basketball early on as well. Bethany Mackin scored well in a contest. Really, you had several girls that scored in the double digits in the game, and you're going to see a lot of what they were able to do there. Again, Bethany driving and giving it up there, Marlena.
We've talked a lot about getting the ball inside. I think we have two strong post players with Marlena Kemp and Paige Dorsett, and we just want to get the ball inside of them. That way it ends up making it easier for our guards in the long run.
Lots of dribble penetration, a pull-up jumper here, but you're seeing it, and a lot of cutting to the basket as well to find some open people.
Exactly. We just want that kind of energy to transition on offense for us, and I think that, you know, the more movement that we have offensively, the better that we look.
You guys got off to the good start, and Chatard really made a couple of runs at you in the contest, but you guys were able to withstand what they were doing and come back and come away with the victory.
Yeah, and I think, you know, as you've seen the last couple highlights, Patience Walker just had some great moves to the basket, just looked so effortless, and so those were big-time plays. I think she was our leading scorer this game. And then Paige Dorsett with the kind of the rebound putback. She had 12 rebounds that game and was definitely a big help to us on the boards.
Like we said, I think the three girls in at least three girls that are in double figures, and we said sharing the basketball, Bethany Mack, and also a strong contest on Saturday afternoon.
Yes, you know, Patience had, I think, 17 with Bethany right behind her at 16. And, you know, again, our kids are just doing, you know, completing their roles as we are asking them to. And, you know, I think it looks really good for how our team has been playing.
Another putback bucket by Paige Dorsett, and then, again, the little pull-up jumper by Gracie Johnson.
Yes, and when Gracie gets her legs under her and gets that little bounce in her step, I think she's just very effective and just really hard to stop with that mid-range jumper.
Team really able to spread them out a little bit and able to get into the lane like we talked about. Again, Patience getting to the basket for the easy layup.
And I think that, you know, they, in this zone that they were just in, you know, like I said, both our guards and our post players have the ability to, you know, put the ball on the floor and make a move. I think that, you know, that pass by Patience to Marlena just is a good example of how, you know, they're sharing the basketball, they're looking for each other, and they're putting the basketball in the right spots where they need it, where it needs to be.
And you saw a lot of the highlights as well, like we said, and this was a contest we talked about. You got off to a good start, and then Chatard kind of whittled away. We get to the fourth quarter, you guys have a pretty substantial lead, and then all of a sudden you look up to start the fourth quarter play, and Chatard's kind of whittled that down and gotten a little bit close to you guys.
Obviously, maybe if we lost, this would be a different conversation. But, you know, looking back at Saturday, I think it was a great lesson for us. You know, first of all, you can see that our kids battled and they never gave up. I think that they cut it to within maybe even 2, 3, 4 at one point in the game. And they just continued to execute what we needed to and do what had to be done to get the win. I think it's a good thing to play, you know, a tough team with tough players and to be in a situation of, you know, we're up this amount of points at 2 minutes. What are we going to do? So that's a great thing for our kids to experience on Saturday.
A great learning experience as well. I think at one point when they were making a little bit of a run, you on the sideline just told the girls, calm down, and they were able to get in their set. You roll out the offense, you wanted to run, and then all of a sudden you guys were able to get a basket, and that just kind of calmed everybody down. But got a little bit, it's one of those things, I mean, you have a 10-point lead and they score a bucket and you're like, oh my goodness, well, you're still up 8 points. It's just one of those things, like you said, that learning experience, and ultimately the learning experience turned out to be a good one because you ended up winning the game.
And we've talked several times that basketball's a game of runs. You know, one team's going to score 6, 8 points, and then it's, you know, it kind of goes back and forth throughout a basketball game. And, you know, I thought our kids handled that very well. And anybody who's watched me coach knows that I don't always calm down all the time. So for all of us to be able to calm down, take a deep breath, and then finish the game was a very positive thing to see.
A good win over Chatard Ball Club that has a very good ball player. You guys were able to do a nice job against them, and you're going to face a very good team coming up on Tuesday night as well, as the Mooresville Pioneers will come to town. If you just look at the records and don't look at who Mooresville has played, you may think Coach Hurt's Ball Club is down, but not necessarily the case. They have played a tough schedule from the get-go. 4 top 25 teams. A lot of those teams will probably be vying for a state championship come March, but this is a good Mooresville team that Coach Hurt will bring to town.
Yes, and Coach Hurt always brings a good team, you know, to every competition. I think that he just has such a solid program, and he really does a good job. So tonight, you know, we're expecting, you know, one of, if not the toughest game that we've seen so far against Mooresville. So we'll see what happens.
What are some of the things that you're going to expect to see out of the Pioneers on Tuesday night offensively and defensively?
I think, I've seen man and zone from them. I think that they're traditionally more of a man-to-man team, so we'll expect to see some man-to-man. Offensively, they do like a high-low, and that high-low is just very effective because he has people who just understand positioning and who can just utilize their body and really just understand how to score. So that's something that we definitely need to key on and understand how to defend.
When you look at this game, you come in, you obviously have a little bit of a game plan of what are you going to do without giving away too much. What are some of the things that you think your team's going to have to do coming up on Tuesday night to be successful against Mooresville?
I feel like a typical answer, but it's what I think that we have to do every game is you have to bring energy, and we're going to look to run and push the ball. I think my kids are in some of the best shape of players that we've played against, and to push and to run and to kind of get out in transition is something that I think is our strength, and so we'll continue to try to do that.
Try to do that stuff on Tuesday night against the Mooresville Pioneers, and then we talked about this last week. You kind of do a third of your season in the first couple of weeks, and then kind of slows down a little bit, and then you'll wrap up as we get closer towards the holiday break, and then come away, get ready for the sectional coming up. But as you look at where you are, you're having a little bit of a break, Thanksgiving break. How are you going to approach that with the girls in terms of time off, practice schedule, and all those kind of things?
So Thanksgiving is actually the only time that the kids will get an extended, break. They're going to have 5 days off to just be with family, relax, and be, 16, 17, 18-year-old girls. And then we'll come back, and once we're back, we're back. Christmas has no time for a break for us. So, again, I think that the coaching staff, the players, everybody needs that break to kind of regroup and have time with your families and what you're supposed to be doing right now.
So you have a third of the season under your belt, have a little bit of a break, and like we said, you'll get towards that Christmas break. We'll talk about it on future shows, but that you guys got some tough games coming up ahead. That's why the break, obviously, you can't have it happen there.
Yes, we, come back and we just have several conference games back to back, I think. And then we go to a couple of tournaments over the holidays, which we are going to see some of the top teams in the state and in the nation. So that's something that we really, we'll be prepared for come December.
All right, Coach, we appreciate it. Good luck coming up on Tuesday night against Mooresville. That's Artesian head coach Jessi Johnson here inside Artesian basketball. Martinsville looking to keep it rolling. They lost their opener of the season to Avon, have not lost since. They will try to keep the streak going here tonight on Tuesday night as they battle the Mooresville Pioneers. As always, I'd like to thank the head coach Jessi Johnson for coming in for Coach Johnson along with the RTV2 class who produced it. I'm Eric Meyer. We'll see you again next time inside Artesian basketball.